All right, welcome back to another episode of the More To It podcast. I am the host, Jay Moore, Hell Varsity Magazine, hellvarsity.com, and I am absolutely pleasured to be joined by the one and only Dan Whitney, aka Larry the Cable Guy. Dan, I appreciate you taking time out of your GQ photo shoot today to sit down and shoot the breeze here for a few minutes.
I'm very fashionable. I used to go to Fashion Week all the time in New York. It was awesome. I wasn't actually in the fashion shoots, but I would sit at the end of the runway and I'd feed the models when they'd come by. That's what I used to do.
Just throw some crackers, throw some saltine crackers, keep them fed.
You don't dress well when you go to New York City and people come up and give you $1.
Oh, we're over at you invited me over graciously to house, compound, farm. This what you put together here for all your hard work you've done. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, we've been working on this place for a long time. We just quit building a couple of years ago. I bought this place in 2005 as a stopping point in the middle of the country because we were on tour heavily. 285 days a year we were on a tour bus, so we'd be out 2.5, 3 weeks, and then we'd have like 6 days off. But we'd be in South Dakota, we'd finish up, or we'd finish up in Oklahoma, or we'd finish up in Illinois. So it's like, well, instead of driving the bus all the way back to Florida, let's just go to Nebraska.
Yeah.
It's closer. So we bought this place here, and then we decided, I'd always wanted to come back and live here when my kids got school age. And so we moved back permanently. We had it for 5 years. We'd go back and forth, Florida to here, go back Florida to football season. And so about 2010, 2011, we just stayed permanently.
Nice. Originally born Pawnee City of Nebraska, the metropolis.
Go in.
The great metropolis. I've actually been there one time. I can claim I've been there. Saw your street. But now I was just doing a little research before I came over here, just to make sure I got all my facts correct. But you moved to Florida for a little bit.
I did.
And then because you went to high school in Florida, correct?
I moved away from Pawnee City when I was going into the 10th grade. So I was born and raised there, and I moved when I was about 15 and a half, I guess. I moved there in the fall of 78 and lived in Florida most of my life.
Nice. So I'm going to start with this. I mean, the reason, obviously a big Nebraska fan, but we've played a lot of golf together, and I'm looking around all your memorabilia. There's a lot of golf stuff. We got a Masters memorabilia. We got this 500-pound trophy behind me that you won a Johnny Miller at the Bass Pro Shootout. You play in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am every year, but I want to live vicariously through this because you got to play the Holy Grail of golf a couple years ago in Augusta National.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I just want to. I've heard the story. We have a mutual friend in Tim. And he got to tell me a little about it. I haven't heard it from you yet. I want to hear about the whole day about you playing the greatest golf course in the face of this earth.
Well, the crazy thing about that is I didn't get into golf till about 10 years ago.
Right.
So I hated golf. I never liked it. I remember coming on the tour bus. My opening act was watching the Masters one time, or the U.S. Open. One of the two. What are you doing? Because it's U.S. Open. I go, dude, the Braves are on. Are you kidding me?
And you're a huge Braves fan. I mean, you got framed jerseys of Glavine and Smoltz and Maddox.
And I'm like, what are you watching this for? About 10 years ago, I got into golf, and I love it. And so I got invited to play the Masters, and so I took Timmy with me because Timmy's my caddy out at Pebble and stuff. So I appreciated the Masters because after I got into golf, I knew what it meant to golfers, But I mean, there's people that have been playing golf their whole life that would probably they could die after that. I mean, I enjoyed it obviously, and I'm like, holy smokes, we're playing Augusta,
right?
But I'm like that when I'm playing Pebble. Holy smokes, I'm playing Pebble.
Right.
So, it was crazy. And I'd heard stories. My buddy Willie Robertson from Duck Dynasty played it, and he said, "Man, I loved it, but there's so many rules." He goes, "A guy came out there, and I had my headband on, I didn't have a hat, and he come up with me in Pebble Beach hat, and he goes, 'Well, are you enjoying yourself out here today?' And he said, 'Yes, sir. This is such a thrill being Augusta.' Well, listen, we bought you a hat We wanted you to have Pebble Beach hat, or we wanted you to have an Augusta National hat, and we'd appreciate if you put that on out here. And he goes, yeah, I got to wear the hat. And he goes, well, I'm not saying you have to wear it, but you have to wear the hat. We want you to put it. So he was like, so I was scared to walk here and walk there. So when I went down there, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to be on my P's and Q's, and I found it to be one of the coolest. As soon as I get there, I got a bunch of get-her-dones from people, went out there and hit balls, and we get through 9 holes. It was unbelievable, and the guy that we're with wanted to stop and have some lunch. We went and did the other night. There was only 3 groups out there, so we had it all to ourselves. I had a cigar going. I'm like, crap, I just started this good cigar. I said, where should I put this? He goes, well, just take it in there. I go, what do you mean take it in there? You can smoke in there. I go, you can smoke in the dining room?
Augusta National's like their own state. I mean, that's that place. I got to go to the Masters a couple years ago, and that's like getting into Fort Knox.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was unbelievable. So I'm smoking a cigar. I'm having a great time. But the cool thing about it was everybody wants to get to the Amen corner.
Right.
Is it Amen corner?
Yeah.
The 3 holes.
11, 12, 13. Yep.
And I shot the whole day. I shot a 92.
Okay.
Which isn't bad for me at Augusta. But I get to the Amen corner, and I just doubled the hole before the Amen corner. And I went tap in par, tap in par, tap in par. I literally almost birdied all 3 holes. And then right after that, I went double-double. and the caddies couldn't believe it. The caddies are like, man, I can't believe that you almost birdied all 3 of these. No, that's like really tough. So they came over and we all got a picture together. And then when I went in the clubhouse, they gave me a poster of all 3 holes so I could frame it.
That's awesome. How much merchandise did you buy afterwards in the pro shop?
Oh man, I bought a bunch. Then I got too fat and I couldn't wear it. So
I would have went broke. If I ever go there, it's gonna be. I mean, I spent like $800 just going to the Masters. Alone, I get the actual Augusta National because it's different. It's very different. I'm spending $1,000 easily.
See, I don't think I'd ever just pay to go watch it live because there's a lot of. First of all, it's too many people, but. I mean, I would want to play. I would want to look at the guy next to me. I played this, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, it was such a great experience. I mean, I can't wait to play it again. Just so pristine. And it was 3 weeks before the tournament.
Right.
So all the stands were up.
You were like late March when you went.
All the stands were up, and I mean, it was fantastic.
I think I was pretty excited. I saw a picture. I don't know if Tim showed me or you showed me, but you wore one of the hats I gave you.
Yeah.
The Herbie golfer hat. Get her done. Yeah. I'm like, I was like, okay, I kind of got there a little bit. A little piece of me was there.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was fun. I enjoyed it. I'll tell you a quick story about that trophy. I told you earlier, but I'll let everybody else know. There's this trophy I got from winning the shootout down at the Bass Pro Shop. Johnny Miller was my teammate. So we sit down and we get the trophies, and I look, and there's this trophy over there. The thing's got to be 350, 400-pound trophy.
It's huge. It's like the big as a chair I'm sitting on, but it's made of solid wood and cast iron.
It's unbelievable. And so Johnny Miller he looks at me, he goes, hey, are those the trophies? I go, yeah, I think those are the trophies we won. He goes, how am I going to get that home? I said, I don't know. He goes, that's going to cost me $2,000 to ship that trophy back to the house. And then he was quiet, and then he leaves over and he goes, hey, Larry, I'll be honest with you. If I would have known, honestly, that was the trophy, I would have missed those putts. He did not want to take that home.
How was playing with Johnny? Because there's people have mixed reviews out on him, just because he's so blunt and up front. And
he gets blunt. He got blunt and up front, but I like that. I like that.
I agree. Call it how you see it.
But he was awesome. There has not been one person in all of these things that I golf with that has been a jerk. Everybody's been awesome. They've been fun. I mean, it's just such a crazy experience from somebody that never golfed to just falling in love with it. It's crazy. I remember doing that thing at the Bass Pro Tournament. One year, my partner was Lee Trevino. Another one of my partners was Ben Crenshaw, who was a big fan of blue collars. So he's quoting my jokes the whole time. Then one day I'm out there on the range just warming up, wanting to go out, and this is a Buffalo Ridge down there in Branson and all of a sudden I'm sitting there hitting balls, and I hear I hear a guy go, "Hey, are y'all ever gonna do that blue collar comedy deal again?" And I look back, and who's walking up to me? Freddie Couples and Tom Watson.
Did
And
you just
they put a bucket down right next to me, and we sat there talking comedy, hitting balls. I mean, it was
from a
unbelievable.
guy that never, didn't start playing golf, 10 years ago, and all of a sudden you're rubbing elbows,
Oh,
shooting the shit with some of the greats of
so
golf
crazy.
history.
And they're all awesome. That's the thing. I remember Pebble one time I'm on the driving range and I'm next to Mickelson and Jason Day, and I got the end one there. Me and Phil, of course, were both lefties,
Mm-hmm.
so we're on the far right. And I was talking, we got to laughing. So I go to hit the ball, and I'm nervous already because it's Mickelson.
Right.
But I wanted to hit like a 100-yard shot, so I kind of adjusted a little more to the left because it was one of the closer flags way over to my left. I'm way on the right, and I swing, and you hit it, the ball goes completely left.
Oh yeah.
So I swing really hard. The ball goes left, hits my pyramid of balls. Everything goes flying at Mickelson and Jason Day. And I mean, we all just busted a gut laughing.
It's like a scene
So,
from Tin Cup.
oh, it was so embarrassing. But yeah, it's fun.
When did you get hooked? What got you hooked on golf?
You know what uh, I tried to play when I was back in the 80s,
Mm-hmm.
back in the late 80s, early 90s. I tried to learn how to play when I lived in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I went bought a set of clubs at Sears. You
That was my
know,
first set. My first set was from Target.
yeah, and I tried to. It just was tough, and
Mm-hmm.
then it was a course, and it was a not a private club. It was a
Mm-hmm.
public course in Palm Beach. So I had to go over the bridge.
Right.
It was beautiful. That's why I liked it. The front, it was half of it was on the intercoastal, the
Mm-hmm.
other half was on the ocean. But man, some of the people out there were just jerks. I thought, man, see, I knew golf was a bunch of stuck-up snobs. At first, I can't play. Now I'm getting yelled at. I'm done. So I
Right.
quit playing. I never played it again. And then I played in Grant Wistrom wanted me to show up at one of his golf tournaments out
Mm-hmm.
here, and I showed up, but I didn't play golf, so I found myself riding around on the cart for 6 hours with a megaphone making fun of everybody, which was fun. But
Right.
after a while, you're like, holy smokes. But I said, I should learn how to play golf. I'm getting invited to a lot of these golf tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Reno Collier, my opening act, played golf. And we somehow, I can't remember what it was, but I think Boo Weekly came to one of our shows, or I ran into Boo Weekly, got to talking about golf, and I'm like, man, if this redneck play
Yeah, I
golf.
was gonna say.
And so Boo set me up with told me what clubs to get,
Mm-hmm.
set me up with Cleveland Hybrids, were my first ever clubs. And then I moved up to Pings, and then I moved up to TaylorMades, and of course I couldn't buy just one set. I
Right.
had to have the set for the house, a
Right.
house for the bus. So now I've settled with PXGs, and I got about 37 other sets that I don't use anymore. So that's how I got into it, and then I just fell in love with it, and I went full
Yeah, it's a
bore.
beautiful
So
game. I didn't start playing until I was in college.
right,
You
boy,
know,
you're pretty good for that.
well, it for me. It's replaced the game of football,
Yeah.
but it's just. I mean, I started playing in college, and one of my buddy I just sat down and I just did a podcast with last week, Stu Bradley. He played 8 years in the
Yeah.
NFL, and he grew up playing. He's just like, let's get good. And I mean, I couldn't break 120. Remember
Right.
out at Highlands, out in the north part of Lincoln, I can't break 120 out there.
Right.
And all of a sudden, I think the next summer, I'm shooting low 80s to upper 70s, and that's when I got hooked. 'Cause I started seeing
Right.
results. I'm like, oh boy.
There's nothing like
Oh.
a good golf shot.
No,
I mean,
and
there's really
no,
nothing. A
it's
nice smooth swing. You hear it come off the club. You see it fly, land by. There's nothing like it. But that's the thing about golf. If you got time to work at it, you can get good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can come natural after a while. If you're athletic and you
Mm-hmm.
work at it, you can play good golf. And I'm down to about a 14, 15 handicap now, but I play all the time.
Right.
And so you learn stuff. Here's how much I play. Oh, by the way, I'm the only celebrity golfer that's ever appeared on the Golf Channel and Court TV on the same day from hitting people in the head. My days of hitting people in the head, I think, are over with now. But I play so much. One day I'm sitting out in Arizona. We got a place out in Arizona, and for when it gets cold, you can escape
Right.
and go out there. We homeschool the kids, so. But one day we were out there for Christmas. We're there for a month, and all of a sudden I'm sitting on the couch and I'm freaking out. I had a panic attack. I've never had them before, but my fingers are all burning and tingly, and my feet, my toes are tingling. And of course, I'm a hypochondriac, and I've always had a tremor in my left hand that I always get checked for MS all the time. But they tell me it's just a tremor, and a certain percentage get it. So now I'm thinking, like an idiot, I look it up on the internet.
Oh God.
And I've got everything from lupus to, to frickin' MS to you name it.
Right.
So now I'm freaking out. Now my mind's playing games on me. What's going on? I have panic attack. I call my doctor. My wife said, look, let's play solitaire on the phones or something. You play me a game of pool and I calm down. Well, my doctor goes, well, where's it? He goes, let me ask you something. He goes, have you played a lot of golf lately? I said, yeah. He goes, well, how much golf have you been playing? I says, well, I've been out here now 29 days, and I played golf 29 days.
As would I.
He goes, well, you think maybe that might be your problem? That your body's you probably got some nerve things going on. So I came home and I went to the doctor and they did x-rays on me and everything's fine. And then he comes in and goes, all right, now here's the deal. Let's talk about your neck. I go, what's wrong with my neck? He goes, almost every nerve on the left side of your neck is pinched. And he goes, so we're going to do nerve conduction on you and see. We did nerve conduction. And that's it, man. It's going into my fingers. It's going into my toes. So he told me that I didn't have to have surgery, but I could just, I could still play golf. But he goes, you're going to have pains. You're going to feel stuff that's weird. And just remember, it's because you got nerve problems. He goes, it'd probably make good for you to lay off a little bit and let it heal. Do some certain exercises we give you. I said, okay. I don't think you realize how much I play golf, but it's like today I'm doing this interview right now.
Well, there's not much golf going on
And I'm literally like going nuts. I'm feeling all kinds of weird crap. I'm just a hypochondriac. Here's how bad it is. I was watching TV the other day, and they had a commercial for leaky breast implants. How to tell if you got a leaky breast implant. I'm not kidding, Jay. I had every symptom on the stinking thing of leaky breast implants. Oh my gosh.
Well, how the hell are you dealing with what we're dealing with now in this whole coronavirus deal? And we're not even going to get into it because where you and I both stand on this whole issue,
right.
And this isn't. But I mean,
I'm not worried about coronavirus.
Yeah.
But it makes you.
Right.
They freak you out. Where you think.
Right. I got it.
Yeah.
Or something's wrong.
But I guarantee you, if notody had made such a big hype about it, your hospitals wouldn't have been as cluttered, and you wouldn't even think twice about it.
Right.
But I had a red blotch one time, just right here below my lip, and it was freaking me out, right? And so I told my wife, I said, I got to go see a doctor. I got to get a biopsy. So she goes, honey, you're a hypochondriac. It's nothing, I said, I don't care. I'm going. So I called my buddy up. I get it down there. I get a biopsy.
Yeah.
I tested positive for picante sauce. I know, $1,000 it cost me.
Well, didn't you? Was it this winter that you had something taken out of your eye?
I did. I had melanoma in my eye.
Yeah, because I remember we were having cocktails up at Firethorn, and you come and swung in there because I was sitting with Tim.
Yeah.
And you're showing us pictures, and you're like, holy shit! Like this is. I mean, that's pretty serious.
Yeah, it was a superficial melanoma. Thank God they got it out.
Right.
I had a long surgery. Funny story about that. They're operating on your eye, and you can see everything.
Right.
So first surgery was 8 minutes. Then they found out that's what it was, and they said they got it all, but they wanted to make sure, so they're going to go in and do a more in-depth thing, make sure they get everything microscopic. So I'm laying there, and they put this thing over your head, but you can still see through it. But they got your eye held open with a hole, so your eye is showing, and they put this super bright light in your eye, and you're like, oh man! But then after about 2 seconds, it goes away. But you can't feel anything. You can't see really anything. You just feel pressure.
Yeah, well, I had LASIK done. That's kind of similar
Yeah.
to the same.
And you hear him talking,
Right.
so I'm like going, I got to think about something other than this. I can't lay here for an hour without going nuts. So I said, I'm going to play golf in my head. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work on my golf game. I'm going to go to the first tee at Firethorn, and I'm going to play golf. And that's what I did. And it started to calm me down. And just before I was about to tee off at Firethorn, in my head, I see a little pair of scissors come across my left eye to my right eye. I shot 142. I lost 27 balls.
Oh my gosh. So I mean, we could go on and talk about golf all day.
We could.
We could
Nobody
do it.
cares
I
about
mean,
golf.
yeah, right. Um, I want to know. There's always something more to it. Obviously, with my pod, but there's more to Larry the Cable Guy. I want to know how Dan Whitney becomes Larry the Cable Guy. I want to know the process because it's an incredible. I mean, I'm infatuated with successful people and how they get there and the obstacles they overcome,
Right.
and just that journey. Take us through that journey, how Dan Whitney becomes Larry the Cable Guy.
I'm going to try to do this as quick as I can.
Because
Because this was a long deal. But um, when I moved to Florida, I was always a funny kid.
hmm
I was in college playing baseball at Baptist College in Georgia. I loved it. I set out the fall so I could make money.
hmm
So I didn't have to work when I played baseball in spring. I started working at the Hyatt Regency in Palm Beach, taking as a bellhop. I was making money hand over fist. I loved it. I love being a bellhop. It's the greatest job of all time. Getting paid great, more money I've ever made in my life. Used to run every now and then. A certain day, get assigned to drive the hotel van to airline crews back and forth, which was an awesome thing because then you got an actual salary. You got an actual higher wage, but you still got the tips. So, but all the airline crews, you gotta be a comedian, you gotta be a comedian, you're funny, you're funny. So an open mic night opened up one night in West Palm Beach, just a comedy night at a bar. I went on stage, I got hooked. I never went back to school. Comedy club opened up in West Palm Beach about 4 months later. Uh, I went on stage for the first time in October of 1985. Then about 9 months later, June of 86, a comedy club opened up in West Palm Beach. I was one of the first guys in the door. Me and my buddy Tom Ryan, who was a comedian in New York. And that was it. Just started working on my craft. I love doing characters. I went on stage one time, Larry the Cable Guy. I tried with a cable installer. I loved it. The audience thought it was funny. It was only about a minute, minute and a half. A buddy of mine had a morning show in Tampa. He was trying to get off the road. He was a comedian, good friend of mine. So I started calling that station, doing the Cable Guy. It got really popular. They wanted to have it. They wanted to get me some money because I was a working comedian, but I was always calling their station for free. And so they had a T-shirt drive. They didn't know what they would do. They sold like 100,000 T-shirts. Something like that.
No kidding.
I mean, in Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, it was huge. So anyway, make a long story short, I went to work at a club in Sarasota. My buddy Les McCurdy had a club, and he billed me as Dan Whitney, a.k.a. Larry the Cable Guy. I was a little upset at him because it was all theater of the mind, because I was being an Archie Bunker type character, and I was saying stuff you could only get away with on the radio. So, but he told me, hey man, I sold out 2 shows. 300 people, the first show, 300 people, the second show, sold them both out in about 40 minutes.
No kidding.
So I went on stage just as myself. People are yelling out, get her done. They're yelling out bits that I did on the radio. So I would do half and half. I'd do my act, dip down into the character, do some of my jokes as Larry the Cable Guy. I got done signing autographs, taking pictures. It was crazy. I swallowed my dip. It was crazy. So the second show, he took my real name off the marquee, put Larry the Cable Guy. He says, can you do your whole show like that? I said, well, yeah, man. I go, I hang out with rednecks all day long. You know, I talk like that sometimes even when I'm not on stage, just because that's how my buddies talk.
Right. And that's how it came, just because your buddies.
Well, yeah, you know, I grew up a farm
Right.
kid in Nebraska.
Right.
There's not much difference between a country kid in Nebraska and a country kid in Florida,
Right.
except one, you know,
The accent.
country,
Yeah.
whatever. There's different phases of redneckism. You know, you got country to country, redneck,
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? There's Jeff Foxworthy redneck, Honey Boo Boo redneck, Tiger King redneck, Larry the Cable Guy redneck. You know what I mean?
Right,
There's all
right.
different. So difference between a country boy and a redneck is $50. That's about it. So I went on stage for the first time, and I was wearing what I drove over in: pair of jeans, lace-up ropers, cut-off Nebraska T-shirt, and NASCAR hat. And by the way, I drove a 1986 Trans Am with T-tops with a big blue bird painted on the hood.
Listen to REO Speedwagon on the way over.
Yes, exactly. And I went on stage and slayed, killed it. So from then on, a light bulb went off, and I thought to myself, man, if I can sell tickets doing this, because comedy clubs are starting to die out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can sell tickets, that's a plus. So I just started concentrating on getting more radio stations. So to make a long story short, I ended up with about 27 radio stations, calling them. I called radio stations 5 days a week for 13 years.
And they would do all 27 each. Would you do them every day, or
No,
just 27 across the 5 days of the week?
Across the 5
Right.
days, I'd have the most I'd have in one day is probably 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd do 10 one day, I'd do 5 one day, I'd do 11. You know,
Right.
I
remember. I mean, I'm from Omaha, growing up, and my dad always listened to Todd and Tyler.
Yeah.
And this is, I'd hear your bet come in, and he would just be quiet, gotta turn it, because we would just laugh our asses off in the car. I mean, that's early 90s.
Yeah.
And this is,
Well, I had 3 stations were 5 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then like 4 stations were 3 days a week. And then 5 stations were 2 days a week.
Right.
And then the rest of them just once a week on a Friday. I'd call up and do it, or a Thursday. And so yeah, man, it was awesome. So I was, I've never been one to. I told them I was only paid for 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would do is I would say, look, here's what you have to do. You don't have to pay me. Just promote. If I come do a show at the comedy club, just promote my show. And it's a win-win for everybody. You get a good radio station promotion, and the comedy club's happy because they sell out the shows. And that's what I did. I became the top draw at comedy clubs across the country. Me and Rich Jenny were the 2 big money guys at comedy clubs. Then from then on, it paid off. Then I went up to do a set at the Ryman Auditorium in a thing called History of Country Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only guy not getting paid because they needed one extra guy. I was a fill-in.
Mm-hmm.
And Foxworthy and Andy Griffith hosted it. And I went up and I killed. And then that's when Jeff said, hey, and I've known Jeff since 1986. Okay. Jeff and I have been friends for a long time. He's one of my adopted brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jeff goes, man, we need another guy for this blue collar thing we're doing. You should come up and audition for that. So let the guys look at you. I think you'd be a good addition. So fortunately, my opening, they had me for 2 shows just to see how I worked with everybody. My first show was in South Carolina, I think Columbia, where I was already selling tickets like crazy. And I did, this is a funny, can I cuss on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
I've said shit a couple times already, so.
Ron White, they said they knew I had the blue collar gig. Ron White, I only met maybe twice.
Right.
I didn't know Bill Engvall at all.
Mm-hmm.
But Ron, they said, used to sit in a green room and would never watch the first act. I'm like the Ringo Starr of the blue collar comedy tour because I came in like after they'd already done like 8 shows.
Uh-huh.
They got rid of a guy. So for my audition, Ron White finally came up to watch. He never comes up to watch the first guy, waited, smoking cigarettes, drinking. So he came up to watch me. And they said, 2 promoters said, we knew we were going to put you on the show. When Ron White came up to watch you, and you're 3 minutes in, you are killing. You're probably 25 jokes in because you're all one-liners. Ron White lit a cigarette and goes, shit. Because he knew he had to work hard to follow that. So, but it was good for everybody, man. It kind of elevated. I was a completely different style than the other 3, and it worked really good.
No, those blue collars, man. Those are a thing of beauty.
Yeah, they were awesome.
They were so good. Your jokes, you get, Ron Tater Salad, his jokes. You get, here's your sign with Bill.
It just came at the right time.
Yeah, and it amazing. It's just, is that like your moment, like your holy shit moment? This is going to turn in. you're already killing. Was this like, man, this is going to now?
We didn't really know what it was
going to be.
We didn't know what it would turn into, but we knew we had a fun tour.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it was getting popular. My holy crap moment was sitting at the house, and we'd already done the first blue collar DVD.
Mm-hmm.
My first album I released just to my markets where I did radio. It was Lord, I Apologize.
Mm-hmm.
And it sold, I mean, it did good. It sold like 30,000 copies, I guess. After we did the first Blue Collar, they re-released it through Warner Brothers. And it sold 837,000 copies.
Just a few more.
In 6 months. I'm like, whoa, what the heck? But my holy crap moment was they wanted, I was doing some theaters
Mm-hmm.
and doing good at theaters, and they wanted to book some arenas. So they booked, and I thought this was so stupid. They booked 50 arenas. And I'm thinking, you guys, aren't you, I mean, come on. I'm selling, 2,500 tickets at
Mm-hmm.
theaters, but I mean, you're talking about 10, 11,000, 12,000
Mm-hmm.
people. So I thought they were nuts. So they sent me out for about 15 shows to get used to the timing and working arena. So they sent me out with Travis Tritt for 15 dates.
Mm-hmm.
I love Travis. Travis is really awesome to me. Sitting up in my room, had about 10 days off. I'm sitting up in my office in my house in Florida, and the promoter calls me. My tickets had just gone on sale for probably 10 of these arenas. And he goes, "Hey, Dan, you seen your ticket counts?" I said, "Oh, Mike, no, are they bad?" "Bad? Let me just tell you something, bud. We just went on sale at the Hershey Center in Pennsylvania an hour ago. All right? You're at 9,500 tickets." I go, "Are you kidding me?" And so he's going down the line, all these different states and arenas, 9,500, 10,000, 6,500, 7,100. And that started a good 7-year run of good 6 to 7 year run in theaters,
Mm-hmm.
doing anywhere from 7,500 to 12,000 a night. It was crazy, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I read Steve Martin's book, and he said if there's one thing that he would have done was he would have enjoyed his stand-up career more,
Mm-hmm.
because he went straight from stand-up to acting.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, I took that to heart. I wanted to enjoy every minute of it because it goes so fast. It doesn't seem like it
Right.
at the time. But even now, I look back and I go, wow, I didn't realize that it was that big. I really didn't. I felt like I was still just a regular comic,
Right.
and just doing big numbers, but I didn't realize that for those, at least for 5 years, let's just go with a solid 5 years, I didn't realize I was the guy. I had no idea. I was selling out arenas, I'm doing movies. I still look back on it and I go, man, I cannot believe that that's the things that we were doing. That's so crazy.
Yeah. When you were doing those tours or X amount of shows, would you always do the same bit, or would you change it up depending on where
Well, you had your routine,
Right.
so you toured with your routine, but I was always adding stuff and throwing stuff out because I wanted to do some stuff here. But people wanted to hear that, they wanted to hear what the last album was, and they
Mm-hmm.
wanted you to add some stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I always had some new stuff for them, but writing material, man, takes forever. But I did the best I could to break it up and
Yeah.
do new stuff. I think that's a problem sometimes with stand-up. Some people don't realize you have new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll come see you once, and then it's like, well, how come they didn't come see you another time? They love the show.
Right.
Well, a lot of people think, I saw him already. It's like, yeah, but this is,
Yeah.
but a year and a half later, 2 years later, you got brand new material.
Yeah.
So, but man, those lasted for a while. I'm still one of the top 10 draws in the country. I'm still doing, great numbers in theaters. I tapered off the arenas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like them as much anymore. They're just harder to do. And plus, I don't get the crowds I used to get.
How
I've been
about
out there
I
forever.
went to this show. I mean, how stoked were you to do a live show at Memorial Stadium?
I was so nervous. It was, I don't ever want to do anything like that again.
Really?
No, I was so nervous. Matter of fact, before I did that, I got a click in my jaw, and I'm like, why is my jaw clicking? So I go to the dentist, and I go, man, I just cannot do. He goes, what are you stressing out about? I go, what do you mean? He goes, that's all stress. When your jaw clicks,
Mm-hmm.
most of that is stress. And I did that show. As soon as I got the first couple of laughs out,
Yeah.
it all went away.
Yeah. It's just.
And it was a regular show. And I
Right.
only concentrate, I pretend like I was at a fair, And I only concentrated on those people in the middle because I could see them clearly. I concentrated in the middle and just pretty much let
Places. I mean, how many? God, you had
53,000.
Yeah.
And I let everybody else follow along.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I said goodnight, my click went away. Crazy. But man, that was so cool. And the cool thing about it is, for a long time until, what's his name? Kevin Hart,
Mm-hmm.
he did a football stadium.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the only two American comedians to ever do a a stadium with their stand-up are me and Kevin Hart. And that's a pretty cool deal. Man, when Kevin Hart did it, they were announcing first comedian in the history of stand-up comedy to do a football stadium. And I said, wait a second. I said, I not only did I do mine, it was on Comedy Central. So how can Comedy Central? So my manager called up and said, hey, you guys, are you forgetting that you did a special with Larry the Cable Guy? And they go, oh, that's right. You know, yeah, some of these Hollywood people. So they changed it to first stand-up comedian to do a professional football stadium.
Because Memorial Stadium, 90,000 people could sit in there.
Right, but I still did more people.
How did the Cars bit come apart? How'd that come along?
One of the greatest days of my life.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at the house in Florida, and my manager said, did you see your fax machine? Back when we had fax.
Right.
I said, no, what? He says, go look. There should be something on there for you. And I look at it. It's from Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
Said, we are... And I still have the original letter up in my room up here,
Mm-hmm.
all framed. 2003. They sent it to me. Said, we love your work here at Pixar. We think you're funny. We want to offer you the role as our small town tow truck in our feature film Cars. Zeb the tow truck.
Zeb.
I said, Zeb the tow truck. So I call my manager going, yeah, guy, what is this thing? He goes, well, they want you to be a tow truck in a Pixar movie. I go, wow, that's kind of cool. I go, when can I do this? I'm on the road all the time. When do I got to audition for this? He says, no audition. You got it. I said, what do you mean I got it? He says, you got it. You got the part. You don't have to audition. Jay, I'm not kidding. I started tearing up and crying. Because it was like, really, it was almost like everything I did with this character, Larry the Cable Guy, all that hard work, all those years of calling those radio stations and those morning shows, it all built up to John Lasseter hearing me on the Blue Collar Comedy CD. He said that he'd been through 200 voiceover people, 150 celebrities. Could not find the voice for that tow truck. He had one day to go before he had to start doing something. Went and he said, I'd heard of that Foxworthy guy, but I hadn't heard of the other three. Go get that Blue Collar Comedy CD. Let me hear it. First guy on there was me. I yelled it right up there.
Right.
He said he was on the floor laughing so hard because his wife's from Arkansas. It reminded me of him and his family.
Yeah.
And he said within 2 minutes he called his secretary and said, hey, I found my tow truck. And if I wouldn't have done all that stuff that enabled me to get on that blue collar thing, John Lasseter would have never, ever known who I was. So I'm very thankful and grateful. And
Probably your second holy crap moment?
Yeah, pretty much.
Or is that the holy crap moment?
That could
Second
be the holy crap
yeah.
moment. Yeah. So anyway, that's how I got it, and it was. And then they changed it to Mater because he went to a race and he met a guy that they nicknamed Mater, so he wanted him to have that name. And it started out as a small part. I went out and I did it. It was awesome.
Well, how long does it take you to record the parts of the? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but the movie has to be pretty much done, doesn't it? For you to, because does it have to?
No.
Like the animation wise.
No.
Because don't you do it and like it's there in front of you, or do you just kind of read your script?
You read your script and then they draw you around the
Got it.
words.
Okay.
They have people sketching your mouth and your reactions.
No kidding.
Yeah, they had
That's wild.
They had like 6 people in there with notebooks
and
and I'm behind glass.
Right.
And I was all nervous. And I told him, I said, well, John, is Mater is he real slow? Because I wanted him to, and he goes, well, no, he's you. I go, what do you mean he's you? He goes, he's just you. You're Mater. That's why I hired you. You're Mater. You're the guy. You're the voice. Just be you. Do what you do on stage, and I'll be happy. I said, all right. And then he says, now, don't worry if I make you do this 10 times, because we like to get a lot of these. Mm-hmm. So don't think you're doing bad. I said, okay. So he did his line, and he pointed at me. My first line I ever said was, hey, my name's Mater, like Tom Mater without the tuh. And he started laughing, and he goes, oh, man, all right, well, I got it. Just give me one right. More. I'm like, oh, this is going to be the greatest gig I ever had. So I get home, and I haven't heard from them 6 months. Mm-hmm. So I call my manager, and I go, hey, whatever happened to that Pixar thing we were doing? I mean, I did my stuff. I haven't heard one thing, not a peep. I said, did they not like it? And I'm thinking, crap. Right. They didn't like it. He goes, I'll find out. I'll call you back. He calls me back and goes, you sitting down? I go, Dice, don't tell me that they hacked it. They liked the character so much. They said Mater is like the heart of the movie. So they're rewriting the script and adding more Mater. So it turns out I got to make 8 more trips to Emeryville. And I made 8 more trips, and I signed the wall at Emeryville 8 times.
Is this in L.A.?
4-hour sessions, 8 times in Emeryville, outside of San Francisco. Okay. At the Pixar Studios. Yeah, and then they added. Then I got to become really good friends with Johnny Lasseter, and so for Cars 2, I stayed at his guest house, and the whole time, and worked on my stuff, and went up he goes, hey, my Kara's with me, my wife's with me one week, and he goes, hey, you guys want to go tonight? We're going to head up to Tommy Smothers' house. He's going to have a cookout. You guys want to go up there and grab something? I said, yeah, sure. So we go up to the mountain up there. There's Tommy Smothers from the Smothers Brothers. Goes up to my wife. Hey, Kara, how do you like your cheeseburger? I mean, it was the craziest thing from 2 small town kids. Right. My wife's from a town of 45 in Wisconsin. We're just like, what is going on? Uh-huh. So it was really fun. It was an awesome thrill, and people always say, will there be another one? I have no idea. I'm happy for the ones they did.
Well, you just showed me you have a studio now in your house. That right. You said did you do all of Cars 3 from the in-house studio?
I did most of it. I went up to Omaha. That was the first movie I didn't have to go to California, because they said they got plenty of Mater stuff. Mm-hmm. The third movie, Mater was in it very much, because they want to, they got the theme park. Right. And Mater voices most of the theme park. Mm-hmm. And I got my own ride. And so they wanted to introduce some more characters, because they got to keep that theme park going. They got $1 billion theme park. Right. So they were trying out some other characters, but obviously Mater and McQueen are the main buddy theme throughout these Pixar movies. And so my part was a lot smaller than all the other ones. It was still a great part. But
would you record with Owen in the same studio, or would you?
No, so by myself every time. The only time you ever saw anybody was at the premieres. And one of the coolest things was the very first premiere we did for Cars 1 was at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Mm. And we were all there. And we went out to eat. And I sat right across from Paul Newman. And he was awesome. And he was like going, hey, I love it. You did such a good job in this movie, man. And my wife and I, we went back and listen to one of your, man, you're funny. Those one-liners and your timing. I mean, he was really complimentary. Uh-huh. And I told him that I wanted to be the redneck Paul Newman. I said, I have a charity, and I'm putting out products for my charity. Everything goes to my charity. And he thought that was great. So he literally helped me and gave me ideas of how he set up his products for his charity. So that's how I came up with all my product line.
Awesome. So you just came out another special. You just did it came out last week, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that going so far?
Number 1 right now.
Attaboy.
Yeah, number 1 right now. Which is really awesome. It's the first time I put out my own. I mean, I've been on other projects. Jeff and I released a CD. Jeff and Bill released a CD. But this is my first solo project since Morning Constitutions in like 12 years. And so, and I don't even tour that much. I quit touring a lot about 4 years ago. I only do about 25 to 30 shows. I want to spend a lot of time with my kids. And so the fact that I put it out and it went to number one is really,
That's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. I got great fans. So
What's you said that one come up? What's the next couple of years look like for Larry?
just hanging with my family
Yeah.
and trying to be a good dad and going to Husker games and trying to get my golf game better.
Attaboy.
That's about it.
Let's get into the Husker talk. Favorite Nebraska football game that you have attended? There's been a lot that you've attended because there was some. I can't imagine you missed some good ones there traveling.
Yeah.
How did you make that? How'd you make that work when you're traveling tour during the fall, from September to
Well,
November?
you had the internet,
Yeah.
and a lot of Nebraska games you could get on TV, so that was all good. I didn't miss a game. I always got the games.
You got it.
I never missed
Never
the
missed
games.
them.
So I think maybe only once or twice would I be on stage during the night game. I remember one time I had to go on stage. There's like 5 minutes left in a close game, and I had to go on stage. So I said, look, just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down from the side of the stage.
Do you remember what game it was?
I can't remember, but I remember doing the show, and I remember I looked to the side of the stage and I see my buddy Reno, my opening act, give me a thumbs up. And I go, and right in the middle of the joke, I go, son, I was over at, for real? Yeah? Sorry, everybody, Nebraska just won. Whoa, no, where was I? And then I go, oh yeah, so here's up her. And I went right into the joke.
Oh boy, that's too good.
Probably the best one where I was at was the 57-yard field goal game.
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah.
When Sue intercepted
and
it.
Alex Henry kicks it.
Alex kicked it. My most embarrassing game was when I hate going to the away games because not everybody's a fan. And if you're a celebrity, people love to mess with you anyway. So I stay away from a lot of that stuff. But two of my worst times was I went to the Nebraska USC game out at USC.
Oh, so that was my senior year.
Yeah, we were out there.
Yeah,
I was
that
on
was
the
my senior
sidelines
year.
at the USC game, and my manager was with me. And Will Ferrell, he came to Lincoln
The very next year.
and hung out with me at my sweet box, and we were down on the field the next game. But this game, I'm over on the sidelines, and of course everybody in my management's from Los Angeles, so we're all hanging together on the Nebraska sideline. And everybody's really friendly, man. Everybody's like, before the game, get her done. A lot of people in the stands taking pictures, some signing autographs. The guy that was taking care of the horse, the Trojan horse, of course, he's an old country boy, so I got to talking to him, and I hopped on the Trojan horse in the hall, and in the tunnel there, and got to sit on him and talk to that guy, and everybody's awesome.
Right.
Then the game starts.
And flip the script in there.
And it was like everybody on the east side going towards on the west side going toward the ocean. That whole section by the end zone all the way around to midfield. They were all like, they turn into flipping Mexican gang members. I mean, they're screaming obscenities and the same people that were getting And so now we're losing. Now it's pretty much we've lost.
Right.
Well, I want to leave. There's 5 minutes left, and I want to get out of there so we can get out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go out the Nebraska side because now I look like a quitter. So I say, here's what we'll do. Once the game starts, we'll just sneak out. We'll go out this west end out here. So me and my wife start walking out there, and I don't know if you were playing the game, so you remember, but the entire side from about the 30-yard line to the end zone, we're standing up, chanting, "You didn't get her done! You didn't get her done!" And I'm like, I cannot get out of the stadium fast enough. And then the other one was the Oklahoma State game. I'm on the sidelines. And this is a couple years later, I think.
Well, is this the home game?
No, this is an away game. And I go to Oklahoma State. This is one of the few away games I went to. and the play comes my way. It's Taylor Martinez.
Okay. Well, that Nebraska won down there then. That
Yeah,
way.
we won that
and
game.
Stillwater's the sidelines are about as big as from me to you.
Yes.
So there's no room.
No room. That's when we popped the quarterback so hard we put him out of the game.
Oh yeah.
He went out. So the play's coming my way, and I'm like, oh crap, this is coming my way. So I backpedal, and I trip on an exercise bike, and I just drop. And of course, Alex Henry comes over, another backup, and then what's his name? He used to kick for the Cowboys.
Oh, Maher.
Yeah. They both come over and pick me up, and I'm like, I wave to the crowd, I'm good. Everybody's laughing, and I go, man, it was a televised game, national game. I said, well, and in my head I go, man, I hope nobody saw that. That is so embarrassing, right?
I watched that game on TV. I don't remember seeing
yeah,
that.
so I'm talking. All of a sudden, I said, we're at a timeout, so I just checked my cell phone. 56 text message. The very first one. Hey, nice tackle on the exercise bike. I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, yeah. Every time you'll see it. If you ever watch the replay, you see it.
Go back. I remember watching that game, but I don't remember. I must have been taking a leak or something, or getting a beer or something. I don't remember. Oh my gosh.
And then I went to Baylor, and that's I was always on the road, so I couldn't go to a lot of games. But I went when we beat Clemson in the bowl game in Jacksonville, and I went to Baylor. Went to a couple of Orange Bowls where we got beat. But I think that's about it. I haven't been to a lot of away games just for that purpose. I go to every home game.
Oh yeah, I mean, you don't. When's the last time you missed a home game in the last?
I missed one home game last year because I promised David Wells I'd go to his golf tournament because David Wells always plays in mine.
Right.
So I missed that one, Northwestern. And I don't go. I got to tell you, I don't go down on the sidelines. Yeah. I used to like doing that.
I used to go down there too. But let me tell you, it wears on you.
It does. You talk over crowds and your throat hurts. My back, my neck, my back. And not only that, I don't want to look like sometimes you see all these celebrities on the sidelines and you're like going, well, are they fans or they just want to be seen by the camera?
Correct.
And I don't want people going, there's cable guy down there again acting like he runs it. So I just go in my box and I enjoy the game. And I do that.
You break people's arms in arm wrestling.
How crazy was that? That gave me some street cred, though.
I did. Holy smokes. I don't want to arm wrestle you right now. I don't need no... I'm going to try to play some golf tomorrow. I don't need my freaking arm broke.
Yeah, that was crazy. That guy... I mean, he's a friend of mine. I mean, he was really cool about it. He was super nice. He's the one who wanted to do it. So, but I couldn't believe it.
How many people say Larry the Cable Guy broke my arm?
Make a long story short, what he's talking about is I always have 6 National Guard guys in my sweet box every year, every game, and it's awesome. I love doing it. And so, just one day, this kid comes up and he goes, "Hey, Larry, you mind can I arm wrestle you? My dad will get a kick out of it. Can I videotape us arm wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm left-handed. I mean, doesn't matter what arm you want. And he takes his shirt off and he flexes and he goes, "Pick an arm, baby."
God, like that.
And this kid was put together. Right. And my wife sees it and she makes this look on her face like, "Oh, good luck." Well, make a long story short, we're arm wrestling. And I'm actually doing pretty good. And I'm thinking in my head, is this guy holding back or what is this? Because I'm doing pretty well.
Right.
But I'm about toasted. I'm like, that's about it. So you know how you make that last, you got that one gasp effort. Well, I did a one last gasp effort, and here's all you hear. And I feel it. I hear the pop, and I feel it. And I just put my hands over my face, and I went, "Dude, was that your arm?" And he's white as a ghost, and he goes, "Yeah, I think so." And then you can see he's wobbling. And so luckily, Doc Rhodes, my buddy Bobby Rhodes, is in there. I said, Bobby, I think this guy broke his arm. So he comes running over. Okay, lay down. And so the funny part about it, here's this kid, Larry the Cable Guy, snaps his arm, and Tony Davis is in there as a guest. So Tony Davis is working with him. And then right when they get on the ground and Tony Davis is helping him and my buddy Bobby, the doctor's helping him, in walks Mike Rozier, right? And he goes, "Hey, Larry, what the hell's going on?" He gets down there. So this kid has Larry the Cable Guy break his arm, and the people helping him get better and wrap his arm up is Tony Davis and Mike Rozier.
He's probably had worse days.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll get you out of here. I always got to do my 3 and out segment. 3 questions before we
Three and
leave.
out, boys. 3 and out.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm sorry I don't have a Jay Moore jersey
Well,
up.
we can fix that. I got a couple. I don't know. It might devalue some of your other merchandise here.
I got plenty of jerseys.
I'm not Tom Glavine, or I can give you a 49ers jersey, or I got a unhanged black shirt. You don't have any of that. Do you have any black shirts?
I don't have a black shirt. Give me a Jay Moore black shirt. I'll put it up.
All right, that's done deal. I think that's a fair trade.
I like it.
For you spending an hour shooting the breeze. All right, first question. You have one concert left to go to the rest of your life. Who are you going to see?
One concert?
One concert. You go one concert. And in this, it can be a band, but they could be dead or alive. Well, you got one concert left to go see. Who are you going to see?
George Strait.
Easy enough.
Oh, man. Easy. Yeah, George Strait.
Movies made about Dan Whitney, a.k.a. Larry the Cable Guy. Who's playing you?
Who's playing me?
Yeah, who's playing Dan Whitney?
Wow. Chris Farley.
Hey, that's a good one.
I love Chris Farley. I would love for him to play me.
Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I never did, but I met David Spade and I are buddies.
Yeah.
And Rob Schneider. As a matter of fact, when I first started doing my character, I got off stage doing it one night. It was the same night that our club had Rob Schneider and David Spade double billed. And they both came up to me and said, Dan, that's hilarious. That's a Saturday Night Live type character. You should keep working on that.
That's awesome.
I said, all right.
How good is that? You're going to do karaoke. You have one song to sing the lyrics perfect to. Otherwise, you're getting like a trank dart in your neck. What song are you singing that you can sing perfectly?
Red Akins, I Break for Brunettes.
Who the hell sings that song?
Man, you got to look it up. It's one of his all-time best.
Red Akins.
Red Akins. I break for brunettes.
Okay.
That's who Red Akins is.
I have no idea who Red Akins
Thomas
is.
Thomas Rhett's dad.
Oh, okay.
Red Akins back in my day, back in the 90s, he had awesome tunes. He's one of those guys like Tracy Lawrence. Mm-hmm. Every song was great. So Red Akins now is a songwriter, and he's written almost every hit for Thomas Rhett.
No kidding.
You know that song by Blake Shelton? He's written a lot of Blake Shelton's songs. He wrote that song, "You Can Kiss My Country." You know that song?
I'm not a huge country. I'm not a huge country. I'm a classic. I'm a classic rock guy. Give me, the Led Zeppelins,
Oh yeah, they're good. I worked with. The only difference between a classic rock band now than back in the day. Back in the day, you would go to a classic rock. Say you go backstage to see them, it'd smell like pot.
Right.
Now you go backstage, it smells like pot and Ben Gay. I wrote a joke about they still got long hair. Unfortunately, it's coming out of their ears and their nose. The one joke I never got to be able to work, that I never got that big, but I love the joke, is these bands are getting older, but they're still out there. I went to see Asia. It was kind of boring. They sang one song, and then the rest of the time they tried to sell everybody a reverse mortgage. I love that joke.
Well, you've gotten pretty. I played in your golf tournament out here at Farthing the last couple of years, and you've had REO Speedway and comes out and plays it.
Oh yeah, man, they're buddies of mine.
Yeah.
I met Bruce Hall a long time ago, the bass player, and we just got to be really good friends. So they come out and try to get Kevin Cronin. I get the whole band. I get everybody but Kevin. So I'm trying to get Kevin out there. I will say something cool about those guys. My dad had left me when he passed away. My dad was in a band in Nebraska called the Memphis Beats back in the 70s.
Okay.
And he had a 1953 Fender Telecaster.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, and so when he passed away, I got the guitar and I told the guys about it, and Dave Amato was like, "Oh man, really? I'd love to see that thing." So the last time they were here, I showed him my dad's guitar. Well, then about 6 months later, they were doing the arena in Omaha, and I called Dave and I said, "Hey Dave, will you do me a favor tonight?" He goes, "What's?" There was 2 nights before. I said, "Will you do me a favor for the show?" Basically, he said, "What's that?" I said, "Well, my dad's guitar hasn't seen action since 1978, right? Never been on stage since 1978. That's the last time he performed that guitar." I said, "Since you love that guitar, will you play it? Can you play that just for a song?" And he goes, "Oh man, are you kidding me?" He goes, "I would die to play that thing on stage." I said, "Well, you know what? If you play it, I'll bring it up. And he goes, well, we'll be down there. Well, we got to come pick up what you call it in Kansas City. We'll stop by and pick it up. I
Mm-hmm.
said, all right. So they came by, pick up my guitar. The day of the concert, Kevin Cronin calls me, and he goes, "Hey Dan," you know his voice. "Hey Dan, listen, this guitar. Uh, I know you gave Dave permission to play it, but can I play it? He doesn't play Fenders. I play Fenders. This guitar is unbelievable." And he's starting to tell me all about the wear and tear, and he knew my
Right.
dad's style. I said, "Yeah, man, that would be awesome, Kevin." So we went up to the concert, and sure enough, they finished the song. Sound tech grabs my dad's guitar, hands it to Kevin Cronin. He tells a story about that being my dad's guitar, and he plays "Riding the Storm Out" with my dad's
How
Fender
awesome is that?
Telecaster. And he came over where we were at and was
Uh-huh.
playing in front of us so we could get pictures. It was unbelievable. I shed a tear, I'll be honest.
That's awesome. Because you can play guitar a little bit, can't you?
I can strum. I
Yeah.
know notes,
You know,
but I
notes.
can't
That's
pick.
if I ever stopped playing golf, I would have to figure out something else to do, and that'd be it. I'd
If,
learn to play guitar.
if you can play the major chords, you can strum along with it. You can be the rhythm guitarist for anybody. So I can strum chords, and I'm learning how to play drums. I bought a drum
Mhm.
set, and I go in there and watch videos about certain things. So I could probably, if they put me on stage, and depending on the song, I could play. I could probably play about 20 rock songs.
No kidding.
50 country songs. Country songs aren't that hard to drum to,
Just can't get the beat.
especially if they're slow.
Right. Well, that's awesome, Dan. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
that.
Jay,
No,
man, I
I
appreciate
appreciate it. It's kind of. I'll tell the story real quick. So I mean, I see you what
All the time.
all the time, 3 to
Yeah.
4 times a week.
Yeah.
And I told you, like, I've been like, wanting you have it on here, and I've chickened out. I've
It's so
chickened out. I
crazy.
know. So finally, I had a little liquid courage. I had about 4 or 5 beers in me one night, and I finally text you like, hey, I've been meaning to ask you to come on my podcast. And you're just like, oh, I'm just, just come. It's no big deal. I'd love to be on.
You know
And
what is so crazy about
I just didn't
that?
want, because I hate being the guy that always,
Yeah.
I know you get asked a lot, but
No,
I
it's-
really appreciate it.
It's so crazy about that because it's funny what you're like freaked out to do. Like me, I just consider myself just a regular old Nebraska kid, but I get it. I've got to do some cool things, but I get that way to you guys.
Right.
You're a Husker, man.
Sure.
You're the only people I've ever been starstruck around. I tell everybody that. I don't get starstruck around celebrities at all. But whenever I have to do something for the team or something,
Mhm.
holy mackerel, because these were my heroes growing up.
Right.
So when I see you guys, I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Jay Moore's a Husker, man. How awesome is this? I get the same way. It's kind of like the time I met Brett Favre for the first time. I was so nervous. He invited me to. I sat in a sweet box, and me and my wife went down to the locker room after because he wanted to come up and say hi because he was a huge fan. But you could tell I was so nervous to talk to him. But you could tell he was so nervous to meet me. And so it was funny because our wives are laughing because here's two guys
Like
that are
little-
so nervous to meet
Like a
each
couple
other.
little kids,
Yeah, it was the craziest thing ever.
That's good. Well, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
That's another More To It podcast. Hell Varsity Magazine, hellvarsity.com. Thanks for listening.